Well, it's been a very long time since we've had Red Elk on. His last appearance involved, without question, the best explanation we've ever had of what shadow people are and are not. You may recall we had all sorts of people sending in photographs during the course of the program when Red Elk was on, and Red Elk is back tonight. That was an amazing program. Red Elk, it's good to have you back again. Where are you physically located?
Between Ellensburg and Cle Elum in eastern Washington, literally right alongside I-90.
That's up in Mel's Hole country.
It is, yes, and we've just recently been there again.
Again?
Again. Well,
I heard that there was a trek that took place by some people up in that area, sort of looking for Mel's Hole, but that they didn't find it, and they've decided they're going to go back again with a more serious attempt. Is that correct?
That is correct. They did find his property, but they did not...
Wait a minute, they found Mel's property?
Oh, you bet, yes. Yeah, the trailer, everything, and there's a fence with strong warnings on it to keep out.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And I told him, that's it. I go no more. I go no closer. I've seen it. I've been there once, and they're crazy.
Oh, really?
And, oh, yeah. It, your Area 51 type rigs, you know, those white rigs that would pop up and watch you?
Oh, yes.
They came.
Oh, government...
Well, call them government if you want. They're unmarked. And two of them, one blue, one white. And the guy in blue, thank you, government, I say that to them.
Why? What?
Well, if it wasn't for them, it would have taken hours more to find his property. They parked right in front of the gate to make sure nobody went there. The gate that we've been going to, the place where after many years
yes,
of not being there, it seemed familiar. Well, it turns out that the yellow gate that I told you of, that's the back road into Mr. Waters' property. And they came by and got everybody's license numbers, and he's sitting there with one of those palm things, I guess, kind of a palm computer. And
yes.
Well, anyway, they noticed where he was parked across from, about a mile or a little more beyond where we've been looking. And they get pictures of it. If anyone's interested, it would be on the SeattleChatClub.org.
Uh-huh.
And really, well, anyway, again, thank you, Mr. Government.
So you would say you've seen enough that you believe Mel's story is true?
Oh, the only problem with Mel's story that I've seen enough to know that that's true. According to every description this gentleman has given out, old trailer, the whole bit, there seems to be a brand new large building on that area with a great big barn.
Really?
A few horses with a fence. And, fences a corral around the horses.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with corrals, Mr. Bell?
Yes, very familiar.
This corral is 3 feet high.
3 feet high?
Mm-hmm.
Gee, what are we corralling in there?
It's a good picture from the air, Mr.
Bell. Red Elk, if this hole is there, and by the way, Mel has since described a second hole.
Yes, I heard that.
You know that, right?
Yes.
The stories that have gone, for example, with the second hole, which is allegedly here in Nevada, are really, really incredible. I trust you've heard them.
Not the keeper of the tunnels for nothing.
Yeah, that's right. You're the keeper of the tunnels. How did the second story hit you? And do you think there might well be a second hole here in my state?
Sir, every time you find one, you find a pair. They're all over the world. Kind of, we call them the nostrils of our mother.
The nostrils of our mother.
Of Earth, yeah.
Ah, that sounds
one
good.
discharges excessive, harmful if you want, or like what would be viruses. You know, I'm not saying they are. It's just like you get a runny nose. One side runs, the other breathes. And so one side runs and the other breathes. Where you find one hole, you will always find another in a 25-mile radius. And again, they are not just here and not just down there in Nevada. And they're literally all over the earth.
And I guess we might as well go ahead and get the rest of it. You think these holes connect to an inner Earth, correct?
Absolutely. And
an inner Earth with inner worlds within that Earth.
Yes, but may I clarify that?
Absolutely.
Thank you. People have got the impression it's a ball floating inside a ball, floating inside a ball, you know, on and on for 5 below us.
Yes.
The Earth is dead solid all the way to its core, with giant caves that decrease in size as it gets further and further towards its core. So if deep whalers or diggers or whatever, you know,
drillers, yeah.
Well, whatever they're going for.
Yeah.
If they happen to be digging above one of these caves, these are enormous caves, and especially the ones directly below us, they sometimes range 600 and 800 miles long, 200 and 300 miles wide, and in some places almost 3 miles high.
All right. Here's something I had happen on my program that I would like to ask you about.
Mm-hmm.
I had a man call that said, in essence, that all holes in excess of 10,000 feet are classified. And he said that were he to give me any more information on the air, it would compromise U.S. security. So I said, fine, send me an email. He never did. Still, it sticks in my mind that he said that, and I wonder if you think there might be anything to that.
From my information, it goes quite a bit above 10,000 feet.
But at some point, Red Elk, is there a government clampdown classification that occurs?
Yes.
Why?
No. No, I'll say no more. But yes. Well, I will say a little bit more. I talked about lizard people and stuff, and people really think I'm out of my tree.
I know.
Well, that's all right. It's my tree.
It's your tree. You got that
tree.
right.
Yeah. And we do have interaction with these beings as well as a number of other beings. And these beings, the vast majority of them, are literally not of this planet. And the lizard beings, the Dracolians, they themselves have colonized this planet eons ago. Literally, not more than than a blink, as far as time goes, from when Lucifer came. So they are colonized now from 3 of their own planets. And to them, this is home. It's just like you white people, America's your home. You colonized it. And to the Indians, it's our home.
We took it from you, right? Isn't that the way it went?
Well, sort of, kind of, yeah.
Sort of, kind of?
Sort of, kind of.
At least sort of, kind of. So, I guess most people, they want to know about what's below us. They want to know about these creatures that are not really human, that we can't call human. The origins of these creatures, I mean, have they always been beneath our Earth?
No. They came shortly after Lucifer went in.
Well, that's a long time.
That's a long time.
Lucifer's been down there for a while now, I think.
And if you really want to know their workings, which is, first off, allow me to say they are humans. They just don't look human. Humans are people that have souls, all right? And all humans, no matter what planet they come from, no matter what they look like, are humans of their planet or soul bearers. And so they're human. They're our brothers and sisters, just as you would be considered a brother or sister of each other because we look like two-leggeds.
So we have some sort of loose relationship to them?
Very loose, yes, but it's going to get pretty strong here shortly. It's already getting extremely strong. It's just they don't run around and show their face to the general public, but it will not be that way long.
So there's about to be a connection between those below and those above.
Oh yes,
and
others.
Perhaps you would like to describe how that will occur. In other words, what will happen?
Hold.
Pretty interesting stuff.
I cannot tell you how because I do not know how. I just know it is to be. The interaction is going on every day.
When you say soon, then?
Well, soon, within 25 years, well within 25 years.
Okay, well, that's still a while.
Yeah, but I go from different times, so yes, it would be quite a while, I guess, to we two-leggeds of this earth.
You understand, of course, that the average, person, when they think about what you're talking about, that is the beginning of interaction with lizard people here on the surface, or I don't know, maybe we'd go to them. Either way, that kind of interaction would be really frightening.
Well, again, the frightening part is the fact that we are interacting every day through shapeshifters and half-breeds, and you're not aware of it. And so far, the only way that I can nail one down, really nail one down, is having a photograph of that person. And especially in the shape-shifting end of it, a half-breed.
Okay, exactly what would you look for?
Well,
if you had a photograph...
if I have a photograph, it looks like somebody cut out a cardboard cutting like they do in the movie houses showing Burt Reynolds or God knows who, and they stick it there in the auditorium. But only a photograph reveals that.
By percentage of those photographs that you get to see, and those people you see casually or not so casually, how many do you see?
I've only seen one in photo, and that's because I don't run around with a camera taking pictures of crowds.
Uh-huh.
It just happens to be one of the half-breeds that I deal with, and this guy's was doing pretty good, but he changed without being aware that he's changed. I wasn't aware.
What do you mean was? You laid a past tense in there on me.
Well, he, in his normal two-legged walk upon this earth, he's a half-breed. And you take a picture of this gentleman when he's in this mode.
And
he looks like any other picture of any other picture, but they're so fast at shape-shifting, so fast at pulling out the essence of the being himself, the one that's half-breed, and slipping in full bore, that like a walk-in, what is called a walk-in, and it happens so quickly that 1 minute the one that is there, and the next minute you still think that that's that one, but without a photograph, you don't know.
Well, have you ever managed to get a photograph of anybody in the middle of this person, in the middle of shape shifting?
Well, first off, you're right. It's a person. But no, I haven't. Although I have seen them shape shift, I just haven't got a photo of it.
In other words, somebody is sort of halfway here and halfway there. I don't know.
Well, it's a strange deal, but they're good at this, and there's a lot of interaction. You rub shoulders with them yourself, and I'm not aware of it. I'm sure of it because there's that many running around here.
I have no doubt of it. I rub shoulders, I'm sure, with, the way I talk about all this stuff on the air, my friend, I'm rubbing shoulders with all kinds of things. I can feel it all around me, always have been.
Well, you can feel one now, another nut on the air, right?
You described some awfully big areas underneath the earth.
Yes.
Would there be a tactical advantage, a spiritual advantage? What advantages would there be for us to get down into these areas and make contact?
Well, like the long walkers that I spoke of before, the advantage is escaping the width effect that is going to go on very soon, and that's started, not too long ago in the first place. Everything, the Earth will flip or roll if you want. It will be in a jerk, mind you, stage over a 10-month period. And Sweden will end up being the South Pole, and if you have a globe, put your finger where Sweden is, put it above the South Pole.
And you're saying that's where the North Pole is going?
That is right.
Yeah, well, that's quite a flip. Red Elk, hold on. We're at the bottom of the hour. Truly an entire world out there that most don't understand. Many who listen to this program have sort of a hint, but basically there's an entire world out there that's a separate world from the one that we understand and think we revolve in proficiently. That would be the world of Red Elk. Here he is once again. Now, you're saying that you have information that is prompting you to come on the program tonight and talk about. You've said all of it, meaning, I guess, for us, for humans, is coming down. What exactly do you mean?
Well, the Creator has got everything right on time. Everything is planned. Everything is working into His hands. Everything. People are worried about your weather shifts, your changes, and so on and so forth.
There's quite a bit to worry about in that area, Red Elk. We just had 84-mile-an-hour winds scream across the desert Monday, and there's destruction all over the place. The weather is really turning on us, but you say that's but only the beginning, eh?
Oh, yes. To me, I believe everything started in 1996. It could have been earlier, or it could have been later, but that's where I put it. And it's just going to get worse, but understand it can be changed. It's only the greatest probability.
All right, let's nail down what it is you're talking about.
Well, all right. One word, Armageddon.
Armageddon?
Yes.
The end of the world?
Oh, no. The end of civilization. The world won't end for another, somewhere until around the year 4000.
Well, the end of civilization, that's...
As we know it, yes.
That's big enough. And when all is said and done, and we'll get to whatever is going to do this here, I'm sure, shortly, after Armageddon, what will the world be?
A mess. And it'll take 30 or 40 years for those who survive it to get back on their feet again.
I'm asking what kind of world it will be. And I understand mess, but I mean...
Well, you'll be lucky to find 2.5 miles of highway that isn't broken up.
That'd be a mess, all right.
Almost every tree, animal, plant, and water will be gone or poisoned.
Yeah.
But this is one reason that I'm ordered to teach what I've been ordered to, so that the knowledge that the medicine people and the red people have considered it to be sacred is put out, so that the survivors will have that knowledge. By learning now, it will pass through. Some people will remember.
Do you understand that a lot of people wouldn't want to live in a world like that? They'd rather not be alive in the world you're describing?
I do, and I also understand people. Too many people, they talk the talk, but when it comes to death, they sit there and fight it left and right. And you're going to have those that are going to fight it and make it through.
Would it be a world that you would want to survive in?
Yes. It gives you the opportunity to start.
You might even be at home in that world.
Me?
Yep, you.
I'm afraid you're right.
But for a lot of people, I mean, what you're describing is indeed the end of civilization. All right, now let's get down to what would cause the end of civilization as you see it coming down.
Well, it boils down to the warfare that is right now going on. It is between Lucifer and the Creator. It started all over again, and the Unholy Four, which are four different alien beings, including the Dracolian race, the so-called Greys. We call them insect, or I like to call them bee people. A group, the Gargoyles on that planet that's coming, that one that makes a big oval path.
Gargoyles, you mean?
They look like gargoyles. Gargoyles.
What you are obviously referring to is the 10th planet.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the whole Sitchin story.
Well, I don't know the whole story. All I know is that dang thing is loaded with bear.
And with gargoyles.
Well, I mean gargoyles when I say bear. Yeah, they're the worst things in our solar system. They're just unbelievable. Let me run up and hug a lizard compared to those son of a guns.
So the lizards are really almost
as bad as a gargoyle.
Oh, really? I thought you were going to say they're nothing compared to the gargoyles.
Comparing the two, I'd rather hug a lizard.
You'd rather hug a lizard?
Yeah.
Well, so then we're in trouble beneath and above.
Yes.
So to speak,
but,
right?
Less trouble beneath than above.
Well, what about right here on the surface? Now, you mentioned the ongoing troubles. We've got trouble in the Middle East. Powell is over there right now, having essentially no success in stopping the fighting. The fighting is continuing. And, of course, the Bible tells us that when Armageddon comes, it will come and begin in that exact area, of course.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
They're going about that all wrong. But, again, we are on the path of the greatest probability. But it is still yet a probability. It can be changed. And we can turn everything around. You and I and the poorest nation can be living in an utter paradise if we as a mass of people would put our mind together. And Mr. Bell, you have done it a number of times on your show.
Nothing at that level, Red Elk. I have done experiments that suggest what you may be saying could be true. I don't know.
Well, what you're doing, my friend, is quite scriptural, but two or more together in my name. And I'm not going to say that the name of Christ, I'm saying it, but you got to remember what that two-legged being was. He was love on two legs. Any two together in love, in pure love, not lust love or anything like that, but caring love. Mm-hmm. Then they can change much. And if we as a world could gather together in love, or the majority of us, worldwide, not just the United States, I'm speaking across our planet, and truly aim our love.
You know what? I don't doubt that is right, because then all hearts would change. But, and I also don't doubt that mass consciousness can do some things that are scaring me a little bit. I'll admit to all of that even. But I don't see those hearts changing right now. In fact, if you look at the present progression of events, there's more reason to believe that Armageddon is just a tick away, Red Elk. It's easier. It's much easier to believe that than it is that all of these hearts are going to change, and the Palestinians are going to embrace the Israelis, and the Israelis are going to embrace all the Palestinians, even Yasser, and all get together and be peace. If I were a betting man, Red Elk, I don't think I'd be betting on that.
Well, I would be right alongside you. This is why this is the greatest probability. This is why Armageddon looms. But, again, it can be changed.
All right, but if it is not changed, which I'm sorry, pragmatically, I consider much more possible, then what is going to happen?
Well, Mr. Bell, you don't understand the Creator's plan, and I'll try to nail it real quick. Basically, Earth is a mousetrap in space. You and I are the cheese, and all people of all the creations in planes, times, and dimensions, not parallel times, are coming here. They are at this very moment battling above and around us. And they're battling over you and I.
And we're the cheese.
We're the cheese. We have all the DNA of every soul-bearing being from day one, long before the earth was born. From day one, in our bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
And the unholy four are claiming us as theirs, and the other says, wait a minute, they've got our bloodline too. Some people don't want to go to war, but they have no choice. So literally everybody is being drawn to the cheese, to the trap.
Well, I don't want to go to war, and yet I feel it is almost inevitable.
Unfortunately, you're correct, my friend.
Just out of curiosity, without intervention, without change, Red Elk, how close do you suppose we are? How much time is left if it goes all the wrong way?
If it goes all the wrong way,
that's right.
Again, I am overstretching because I'm shown things, I'm told things, but I'm never given the time frame ever. And I really, and I know this deep within my heart. I know, way above knowing, I know that I'm correct, that we are within the time frame of within 25 years. Well within it.
25 years. That's not very long, and that doesn't give people with children a lot of hope.
Well, there's so much hope out there. Everybody, I tell the truth, at least as I know it. By the way, I represent the Inner Hayuka Society. I do not represent any American Indian tribe or nation at all. This is my society that I belong to. And under that, I want to make it clear, under that, this is why these things are being brought out.
Well, you call yourself a contrarian, right?
Well, I think you called me that.
Well, I read.
Contrary, yes.
I just read your introduction here.
I don't even know what contrarian means, but I'm contrary. I'm a Hayuka.
You don't know what a contrarian is. One who is totally opposite to the status quo. One who.
Well, okay, we call that just contrary. It's that extra one.
You got a contrary nature, huh?
Oh Lord, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm doing this on orders, and I don't obey any man. I don't obey any man.
You're doing this on whose orders?
The Creator's. All 12 of us are doing it on the Creator's orders. There's only 12 in our Hayuka.
Only 12 of you?
Yeah, there's hundreds of Hayuka, but there's only 12 on this planet that are in our Hayuka.
Where are the other 11?
One's Japan, one's South America, one's Africa, one's Arabia, and he isn't there yet, but he's on his way to be there in about under 2 years. Let's see, One's in Europe somewhere, I can't remember. One's in Russia. Gee, I can't know them all. But we all have our little areas of work.
Are you in
North America?
Yeah, are you in contact with the other three others?
Yes.
Huh. And their view?
Our view is identical. We're all trained identical.
Okay. Then I suppose the inevitability of this appears now even greater. Listen, I want to ask you about something that perhaps coming up after the break that was brought up the other day on the program, and I don't know if what category it fits in, but I've begun to receive emails and communications from a whole lot of people in my audience about mirrors. Now,
yes, I heard that.
Oh, did you really? You heard something about that?
Yes, well, I heard a part of the program before I crashed, yeah. What?
I'm going to read you a particularly interesting email. I've got hundreds of them now. It's one of those things that got brought up on the program, and apparently there's something about a mirror that gives one. I don't know what it does. I really just don't know. I'll read you the story and let you see what you think. But do you know mirrors to have?
I know mirrors that trap events.
Trap events?
Yes.
Well, that's very interesting. Trap events.
Yes. I know walls that trap events. Mountains, valleys that trap events. Not ghosts, just the past caught on film in a strange way.
Actually, there's science to back you up. I'm told that one day when we know how to do it, we will be able to actually extract memory from things like Windows, that you could actually download the memory of that window.
Mr. Bell, a surprise to you. The medicine people do know how to do it.
Really?
Well, sir, with the Creator in all things, and with the ability to intune yourself to the Creator, you can talk to a mirror. You can talk to a road and say, where did the killer go? And the road's connected to another road and another road. Huh. And you can trace it like a bloodhound.
So you can actually converse with these things.
Well, sure. Even the great one, the pale one, the two-legged love on two legs. He said the rocks could shout. He talked to a tree. It responded. You betcha. You betcha. And I can guarantee there's a lot of people that come to me. I take them on a tree trip. And afterwards, I take them outside, and the vast majority speak with trees. And it shakes them up. One, the last time, spoke with a stone.
With a rock.
A big one, yeah. It literally became a face and spoke to him, and he came in. He came in. Well, yeah, he sure. That was an experience for that guy.
Now,
you can even meditate sitting in front of a toilet seat. Can you imagine that?
Well, there are some things. There are some things perhaps better not imagined. For safety here, let's get back to the rock part. What did the rock say to this person?
I don't know. It was all on film. Not the people went out at my orders after this little exercise I teach, and all of them went out. One had so many things chatting, he couldn't decide which one was chatting at him. So he got a lot of nothing in the long run, but I knew one would be speaking to a rock. I had no idea who.
A lot of people, really, and I'm certainly included in that group, trust me, would want to know what a rock has to say, or even
Actually, sir, you and I, the human race, are far dumber than a rock.
Oh, a bag of rocks, huh?
Just one.
We're dumber than a rock. In what sense?
Well, first off, you got to recall the rock, no matter its size, It breeds.
Yes, really?
Well, yes, really. It rocks and rolls and becomes smaller and smaller and becomes sand and then mixes with organic material and becomes mud and dirt. And then along comes a volcano and it grows up again and it starts the whole process again.
And there, ladies and gentlemen, is the life of a rock, which is no doubt where we have derived the expression life is a rock. Right, I can't leave this rock thing for a moment. I do have something on mirrors, but I really, you know, of course, that when you begin talking about this kind of thing, even though theoretical physicists are now beginning to say that things have memory, and that memory one day will be retrieved, I mean, that's right at the very edge of our theoretical physics in hard science right now, Red Elk, but here you are saying...
Because they are white and they're just starting to learn.
Because they're white and just starting to learn, huh?
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that a rock, as a whole, would have a lot to contribute. Now, some rocks perhaps more than others, depending on where they've been and what they've been doing, I guess, but I'm serious. What could be derived? What information, if you could communicate in some manner with a rock, could you possibly get?
You speak as if I don't. If I could, no, I do. And
I'm sorry, I don't.
To do.
I don't mean to sound
okay.
doubtful. I'm trying to ask an honest question here. What?
All right, here's one instance. I was working on a construction site. I'd been ordered they had made a ditch, and I'd been ordered to dig out this rock.
Okay.
Well, dang, I was in my second day, and it was not a big rock. It wasn't even half my size, you know. It was a little, I doubt if the thing weighed more than 42 pounds.
What do you weigh?
All right, well, I'm down from 293 to 178.
Well, so that would still be a pretty good sized rock. You're under.
Well, I'm talking size-wise, not weight-wise.
Oh, I see. All right. Okay.
And anyway, man, this thing was getting me ticked off. And boy, I got so darn mad at it, I started talking to it and really lambasting the poor bugger.
Why? Wait a minute. Why were you upset with the rock?
You want to dig a rock that size for 2 days?
Oh, absolutely not.
No, neither did I.
So in
and
other
I
words,
was out there in this heat.
Oh.
Digging this stupid thing.
Oh.
And it was just hanging on to the earth. It was like it had arms.
I've got you.
And finally, I really lambasted into it, and the darn rock said, "I am holding the roots of that tree." And you could get the idea of it pointing to that tree.
So the rock told you that it was an important aspect of the tree.
That is correct.
So then what did you do?
I said, "To heck with you. I got a job to do, and by golly, let go."
So you're coming out of there, or I'll blow you to bits.
Just about. If I had the dynamite, I would have done it.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but you know how people are going to think of this, Red Elk. I guess some of us, in the same sense, would talk to a rock like that. I mean, we might, but we would not.
Mr. Bell, all medicine people talk to things that you think a piece of wood is a tree is sure a living thing.
Well, Red Elk, I talk to my car.
You talk to your cat.
I've got to be, but I've got to be honest with you. My car, at least as of yet, has not responded in any way I can discern.
Well, someday, if you break down in that desert of yours,
I did once, yes.
Well, talk to the part. Talk to the Creator, who's in all things.
You know, actually, when it broke down, I did talk to it. I mean, I got up on the mountain, and the fuel pump went. I mean, it was brand new, right? And the fuel pump went, and I said a lot of things, probably most of them really unkind, for several hours. My wife and I both did. In fact, she had words with it as well, but you see, it didn't answer.
Well, I've literally had the same problem, a fuel pump, just making a small pond under my truck. and no money to fix it, no way to get it fixed.
Very bad.
So I walked around it and prayed and spoke with it in prayer, knowing that I am praying to the God who is in all things, the Creator who is in all things.
So you prayed to or for your fuel pump?
I did.
And what happened?
It stopped leaking. I drove all the way home on an empty tank, some 47.5 miles.
Well, now that
empty,
is...
It said empty on my gauge.
Very impressive.
I got to my driveway.
Yeah.
I got out. I shut the door.
Yeah.
Bang! It started leaking again. And it was so dry, it only leaked the gasoline that was stuck in the uphill side running down of gasoline of the fuel line.
Well, then maybe it worked. In my case, I really only transmitted very negative things to it, increasingly negative, actually, as the hours wore on, and into finally this guy with this big flatbed thing comes along and hikes it up and takes us to a place where I said further unkind things about it, to other people, in fact. Anyway, it's a long story, but it never worked out well. Next time, maybe I'll try a different approach with it.
Well, you know, Mr. Bell, there are no accidents. You learn from every aspect of your life if you've got half a brain.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that either.
Well, you should learn. You know, bad things happen to people, and it's not until maybe years later that they realize how they've grown.
All right, I want to read you something, and I want you to digest this and tell me what we're dealing with. I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to do a program on this subject Friday. I have been receiving some of the most intriguing emails since the subject was broached in an open line segment last week, and I knew this was going to blow wide open. And well, here, listen, dear Mr. Bell. Recently, you talked briefly on your show about people who have had strange experiences with mirrors. Well, I'd like to share with you and your listeners something strange that's happened to me over the period of several decades, actually now. Some years ago, whenever I'd look in a mirror, I would see this relatively good-looking young man looking back at me. Now, I came to accept this as pretty close to reality. When I'd smile, he'd smile back. Kind of enjoyed looking at mirrors. I even looked forward to my encounters with this young man. After some years, the young man disappeared. And suddenly one day I looked in the mirror and I saw this ugly old fat man staring back at me. Somewhere in the eyes I could see the vestiges of the younger man who used to inhabit the mirrors. But this was and still is in no way any reflection, no pun intended, I guess, or any sort of reality. No matter what I have done, the young man refuses to resurface. I suspect he's been kidnapped by the shadow people, or perhaps fallen into Mel's Hole, or maybe even been led astray by the whisperings of Ramona's cat. But it's my cat, actually, but it whispers to her. But for some reason, he refuses to return. I've not mentioned this strange set of events to more than just my closest friends. The ones I've dared share it with have suggested that maybe my problem lies closer to home. One even suggested plastic surgery. Of course, you and I know the problem actually lies in the strange happenings inside my mirror. I thought maybe you should warn your listeners to watch for this kind of thing. It can ruin your day. Signed, Rick. Now there's a hell of a story, huh?
Yes, especially signed to Rick. It sounded like some crazy old chick.
No.
I'll be darned.
No,
but, I can explain some of this, I think.
Be my guest.
Well, sir, I have gotten 3, they call themselves physicists.
Yes.
It's kind of a hard word for me to
say. Okay.
To say, yes. And they want me to train them. And I was talking to one, and we got on the now this will take just a bit, but we got on to talking about dimensions. And what our Earth is doing, getting ready to flip, it's causing a vibration and stuff. But nevertheless, and it's changing us. It's making us blurring our mind, okay? So that we're starting to see things that were unseeable, know things that were unknowable, except for people as myself and others in medicine and in deep Wiccayan or holiness, and deep meditators, deep thinkers. And this is what's helping cause it. But on this talk, I asked him, what do you see dimensions to look like? And he said, well, Mr. Red Elk, it's to us, or at least to me, like a ribbon. I said, this is good. I do too. And I said, what about the ribbon? How many sides does it have? And he says, it's got 2 sides. And I laughed, and I said, come on, use that physicist thing brain. I said, you say 2 sides, think again. And he thought, and then it clicked, and by golly, the up, the down, and each side of the ribbon. And now this guy's improving, right? So now he's got 4 sides of the ribbon. And I says, great, now, think again. And he couldn't get it. There's the inside. Now, understand it. Look at it as a wide ribbon that is wavering. He sees it as that, wavering, weaving, but turning around about itself, tying itself in light knots, untying itself, and every time it rubs and twists and turns, it creates holes or rippings of veils, if you want, where things become clearer that were never seen before. And because...
well, is that what's going on with the mirror?
That's right. That's just part of what's going on, Mr. Bell.
Well, I am getting a ton of reports about some really strange stories in mirrors now.
This, sir, is just you're just starting. You're within the iceberg, but still on the edge. There's so many things that are going to be happening that through this dimensional shift, through the mousetrap and the cheese, and all coming to it. It's all related. It's all Matakuyo-Ashin, and it's all for the great shift that's coming on our planet.
When people say to you that you're nuts, what do you tell them?
I just kind of, look at them in the eye and put my finger to my lips and go boo 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 boo.
That's well, I don't know if that's a big
improvement. No, but
you just let them continue with what you consider to be their delusion, right?
Well, they have their opinion. I have my opinion. I know rocks can talk. I have been helped by rocks. I've talked to water, told not to drink. I am polluted. Go down the road on an unknown road.
So in other words, you have had water warn you.
Not just warn, but actually audibly speak.
Direct you to a better source.
Yes.
Oh, no, wait a minute. You said audibly speak.
Yes,
now,
audibly in my head.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Okay. In other words, it's not just the sound of the rushing water forming a voice saying...
Yeah, right.
Okay, all right. This is in your head. It actually appears to you.
But I guarantee you know it's not your thoughts.
Well,
there's so much out there, Mr.
I know this is out on the edge of all things that we could even remotely consider possible, but again, it doesn't really get in a giant dispute with current theoretical physics. And there are a lot of things we don't know, and it may well be that things can transmit information to human beings. I don't rule that out. But
Mr. Bill, there would be a lot of murders, a lot of missing people found, or at least alive or dead, if people would just learn how, and it can be done. There was a program a few years back, one of these oldies wanted, or mystery things, and a lady had disappeared up here in this state in eastern Washington. Her bones have called me for years.
Her bones?
Yes, she was murdered. I've seen how it happened. I saw how she was lured there. I saw where she was buried. I know where she's at. And I know so much, they'd nail me for the murder. My wife has asked me over, at least at minimum 3 times, honey, why don't you call the police and tell them where it's at? And I says, I don't want to get arrested, you know.
All right, then, Red Elk, I'm going to read you something else. I was going to hold this for a future date, but I cannot resist. This appeared in a Manila newspaper on March 4th, 2002, a Manila newspaper. The headline is, Mysterious Voice Leads to Mass Grave. A mysterious voice heard by a woman was said to have led authorities to a common grave in the central Philippines, a province which was allegedly used by communist guerrillas in its purging campaigns. Now listen, a woman in her 30s who introduced herself simply as Ailing Inday told reporters who visited the unmarked common gravesite at a remote village in Mauban, M-A-U-B-A-N town, that she had recently had paranormal experiences. Quote, I kept hearing a mysterious female voice calling for help so that she and her companion could rest in peace. The voice asked me not only to pray for their souls, but to search for their grave. She added, she said she sought the help of the military, who sent soldiers, get this, sent soldiers to dig an area close to this woman's house in the San Miguel district. Colonel Efren Oban, task force commander, said they knew the area had been a communist rebel camp during the 1980s. Even though I suspected the grave was a mass burial site of the NPA, New People's Army, I was still surprised when we discovered the piles of human skeletons, he says. The remains of 5 people thus far have been dug up from the common grave. A separate pit contained belongings of what the military claimed were victims of communist executions. One of the skeletons was presumed to belong to a woman because of the pink stripes on the blouse that was there and that was still intact. It appeared they were executed hastily, and in fact, they are just simply shocked at what this woman has led them to. But she says that a voice led her to lead the military to this mass grave. That's a story from Manila. Red Elk, that sounds an awful lot like what you were just talking about.
Well, Mr. Bell, yes. Let me make a comment here. For all people that are listening, please. Christians, I myself am a Christ follower, a Christian. That's what the word means. But nevertheless, that's neither here nor there. But the world of Christians say that to talk to the dead is ungodly, unholy, and blah.
That's right.
On and on.
That's right. They do.
But I say you believe the Word of God. Oh, yes, 100%. Absolutely. And I tell them flat out, I look them in the eyes and I say, sir or ma'am, you are a liar. Because Christ said, follow me. And what are you going to do about this one that says, follow me, do what I do, learn what I learn, and he's up there on a mountaintop talking to 3 dead guys.
Red Elk, on that note, hold it right there. That is my guest, Red Elk. And we are talking of all kinds of very strange things, which will continue if you'll stay right there. I'm Art Bell. Red Elk, you're back on the air again.
Okay, let's wrap this little piece up. But I'm not off of the subject about your mirrors. Actually, we're right on it. We're weaving a story. And this woman who heard this voice, she's probably Catholic. Most of those over there are.
The majority of Filipinos are Catholic, yes.
Yeah, not all, but most.
The majority, yes.
To come forth with this, is scary to her. And I was mentioning, what are you going to do with our two-legged love, on our mountaintop with talking to 3 dead men? The fact is, And this goes to the whole thing. The fact is, we're not to call up the dead. If they show up, what are you going to do about it? You understand?
Oh, yeah.
The Christians have got it. Oh, they're burying themselves because of their stupidity. But don't I make friends. But nevertheless, the mirror and things like that, all of this, the voices, the mirrors.
Why would a mirror?
It's all this twisting and turning of the ribbon and the ripping of the veils and the vibration of the inner earth.
Yes, but just out of curiosity, Red Elk, why would a mirror be a doorway to see or hear things that you cannot otherwise? What properties in a mirror?
Beats me, Mr. Bell. All I know is these things happen, and they're going to get far, far more bruises.
There are going to be more and more of them, huh?
I almost said brazier. Bizarre. That's the word I'm looking for.
Bizarre.
It's going to, on my website I speak of this. So hey, get ready, folks. We're in for a change, and you can't help it. You're either going to turn like a green reed and bend with what's happening, or stand there with your back straight and bust off. There's a big change. We're in it. It's not coming. We're there. It's just getting stronger.
Well, I do believe that. We're in the middle of a change, all right, and the weather appears to be leading the way. Again, I go to what's going to happen after all of this change occurs, and what kind of world we're going to have, and what kind of people are going to be the ones that are going to make it from here to there. I take it it's going to be a relatively small percentage compared to the
my math is correct, sir. 10 million on this earth will be left.
Yes, all right. Well, there are presently almost 6 billion people on the earth, if not by now more. So if you're talking about a few million, maybe 10 million people surviving, that's almost everybody dying. Mm-hmm. But of those who do make it, Red Elk, dire as this prediction is, what kind of people are most likely to make it?
Sir, every race, every creed, every color, and a mixed mash from rich to the poorest. It is almost like throwing lots, and Snake Eyes comes up out of 400 dice at one time.
So you're saying that there is no particular kind of spiritual person that's going to make it, and it's going to be a virtual Noah's Ark of a sample of almost everything on Earth.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Isn't
and
that
only
interesting?
those that go through it and survive are those that the Creator has chosen. What will happen? You'll have 30 to 40 years of pure survival, deep survival, picking up a rock to hit another rock to make a knife, not knowing how to nap it, into a sharp edge, but just busting rock against rock to cut. People in time a big city will be 16 mud huts like in Africa, made up of mud and what little vegetation they can find.
But that means that everything we now know, our big cities, our industrial might, our military might, our infrastructure, you said roads would essentially be gone. You'd only find short portions of them. What is it, Red Elk, that could do this kind of incredible, unbelievable damage?
The same thing, my brother, that took down the city of Atlantis 2, not 1, down there in the Bahamas. Number 1 is under ice in South Pole. The main Atlantis was an island country stretching all the way across, most underwater. It now or under ice, and it will be Earthship or.
First-time callers, area code 775-727-1222.
And, gosh, my lips are dry.
I understand. Take a good deep. That's right. Take a good deep breath and take a drink of water.
I got a good old Pepsi here. Do you mind if I take a sip?
No,
hang on.
Right ahead.
Go tell somebody about that great CC radio. I got 2 of them. I just wish I had modern ones.
You have CC
Yeah, I
radios?
got one of them rock and roll wind-up. It looks like a great big old giant
That would be
lunchbox
that
with
would
a
be
handle on the side.
that would be a Bajan radio with a crank. Yes.
Yeah, I love it. And so do the people that come. We go out into my lodges and just crank away, but it doesn't last quite as long as they claim, and so I do it on commercial times, just to make sure I don't, have it dead when
I see.
you're getting into a hot area and the dang thing dies,
You've got a crank for about 30 seconds.
Yeah, you crank like crazy, I think.
Now, the earlier models, you may have an early model.
Yeah.
The new Super Bajan radio will give you...
I can't afford it. Once a year, my wife and I, when income tax comes in, we make an agreement on what we can buy and can't buy. And I got one of those a few years back, and then I got this one.
Oh, a few years back. Oh, well, there you are. You've got one of the very old models then.
Yeah,
the newer models.
I love one with that flashlight.
Now listen to me. Now the newer models, with the LED light, will last in fact 35 minutes for 30 seconds of cranking. That's how far the technology has come since you bought yours.
It works.
I know. Oh, I know. I know. You've obviously been using it for years, so that tells people how long they last. That's amazing.
Yeah. And then I got one of those that bring in all stations, and I'm living in a little 8 by 26 foot camp trailer. That's home. And I've got a great big expensive stereo thing here, and I have to string wires across the ceiling. I still can't pick nothing up for the darn. But I turn on that other one, and Lord Almighty, I'm a third of the way across the United States.
Well, this is 2 days in a row I've had unsolicited testimonials from my guests.
Well, you got another one.
Yeah,
I tell you might spend the loot, but it is worth every penny.
There you go. All right. Red Elk, back, if you don't mind, to the inner earth. It's something people are really interested in. I have a question for you. If I have an opportunity to go to Mel's Hole, to go to this second hole here in my state, described by Mel, should I go, or would it be dangerous?
Well, sir, it's only dangerous when the military owns it. And it's only dangerous if you happen to fall into it.
Well, yeah, but short of all of that, I guess the military doesn't have this one yet. That's what I've heard, right?
Give them time.
But I did hear, as I'm sure you heard, about this
weird hole down in Nevada.
Well, yes, this thing that fell into the hole, the dog that fell into the hole, or went into the hole, and what came out of this animal.
Well, first off, there's a magazine called Spectrum. SPECT.
I think I've heard of it, yes.
Yes. They interviewed me, and I fell asleep 3 times reading my own interview. And I did, but boy, am I a mouthy guy.
What did they interview you about?
But anyway, that's, everything, these tunnels and everything. And I explained that. I explained how it cuts through very many parallel times, blowing out these strange coins, and if that dog did come out, why and how it managed to go through that from death to life. What Mr. Mills was talking about down in the new hole with this poor sheep, by the way, the sheep did die of a heart attack.
That's right. Of a heart attack.
Yes. The fear was so great it couldn't take it. And what that beastie little thing was, I asked the inner queen, what was that all about? And she told me a new name I'd never heard of called rock flyers. And they are a form of angels.
Say the name again, please.
Rock flyers. They literally live in stones, and they are a form of angels that she claims, now I'm only going by what she's told me, are the totems or the angels of the fairies and gnomes and stuff, and literally the same totems that our Indian people carry that come from inner earth. A totem is not a totem pole. We're speaking a totem or a protector. See, we didn't have the Jewish angels with wings and white looks. The Creator didn't leave anybody alone. He knew what we could accept. And anyway, what came, she said, what Mr. Waters had, and it's not his name, but anyway, what Mr. Waters said or happened was a strange being coming up. She said, this is extremely rare. It happens just a few times in many, many centuries. This being, this...
but whatever it is, yes, but whatever this was, almost like the movie Alien,
yes,
emerged...
but it was an angel, sir, that took the opportunity, a rock flyer angel, that took the opportunity to get up out of the inner earth, to face Mr. Waters, to heal him, and then jump back in, or dive back in, and become the rock flyer again. It literally took on the opportunity, and it came out strange. But and she claimed this is extremely rare, and she could not emphasize that strong enough.
But
she's not crazy.
But she believed it.
Well, this is the inner queen. She better darn well know it.
You realize, to most people, how crazy this whole inner earth thing sounds.
Well, look, Mr. Bell, inside the earth, where the lizards have claimed their realm, it is really, our own military should learn this. They walk down through the tunnels that connect their caves and homes in the caves. And it's really strange. Their body heat or whatever lights the tunnels about 20, 30 feet in front of them, and it goes out about 10 feet behind them. And even though you and I would, peek our head up and look at the tunnel, you couldn't see anything. You're so far down, you'd poke your eye.
Well, that would seem like an appropriate evolutionary path for a being that lived beneath the ground where there's not light as we understand it.
Yeah, and it's a phosphorus green, and you can read by it. And these Dracolian people, you got to remember, they're just because they look kind of stupid, scary. It does not mean they're dumb. And by the way, they are the ones that have tremendous amount of reason for these inserts these people are having. That they're getting these little pieces of glass-like things that are put in ears and arms and whatnot.
You're now referring to what we call implants, yes?
Yeah, that's the word, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And you just don't realize what these people do, these inner beings. They walk around in these tunnels, and if they get a hunger, a thirst, if they want a shot of liquor, they have actual machinery. Like you and I would go to a motel and go and get a pop out of a machine.
Yes.
They would go down the hall, go to a machine, and they got little bells and whistles on it, little handles and all that jazz, all electronic. And they can see above Earth and spot the one or more who have these inserts and cause problems, and they suck the energy, the fear, if it's a rape, they get the fear of the woman being raped, for instance. Or if it's a bombing at the school. Man, I tell you, these people are causing more trouble than you people have any idea about.
I don't doubt it.
I mean,
we know.
They suck on this like you and I would suck on a straw with pop.
Yeah, we know that there is an evil force that appears to be acting upon certain people. Now, others would say, "Oh no, it's just the will of man," but really, in some cases, it's so far out, and what is done is so impossibly awful and evil that it's pretty easy to imagine there is an external force acting to make this happen.
Well, the funny part about it, Mr. Bell, is the fact that these people, and they are people, they are soul bearers, these people believe, and they do, that they are God, big G. And as God, they can do anything they want. They do not believe in God. They do not believe in Lucifer. And yet they do not know that it is Lucifer who is pulling their chain. They are one of the first, these unholy four are one of the first of his racist takeover.
So
race
they
takeover.
are in modern parlance, unwitting dupes for the devil.
Yes, but they don't know it. They're so stupid. They just have no idea. And they, in their so-called godness, they do anything with you and me that they want. And there's an easy way to get rid of these darned inserts.
And that is?
Well, it's all mental. Everything that we in medicine people do is all mental. You can make them absorb into your skin and go out the drought or in sweat. You can literally make them turn into what would be, well, they're not that size, but just as an example,
Is
from
that
a
the
grape to a raisin.
Is that the purpose of the sweat lodge?
No.
Well, you said make them disappear in your sweat.
Well, take a leak. Go to the bathroom. I mean, I was trying to be nice,
I see. I'm
It
even
absorbs
sorry I
into your
asked.
body and goes up the drought.
I thought we were talking
And
about sweat lodges.
and you can change them from what grape to raisin, or you can do the cool one. You can change them to gold, and when they
Well, listen, I've got to take a break here and go get rid of a devil, and we'll be right back. My guest is Red Elk, and I am going to turn him over to you. This is your opportunity. You've heard some absolutely off-the-wall, wild stuff tonight, and you can either regard it that way or think that you're hearing something that you can relate to. It'll be interesting to see exactly what you think it really will. So coming up after the break, we're going to the phones with Red Elk. All right, I thought I would take Red Elk now and put him on the telephone with some of you out there. How about that, Red Elk?
Could you wait just a few short minutes?
I'm in complete command. Yes, I can do whatever I want.
Well, there are some things that I would like to put out to you. First, sir, I finally got to the bottom of the December show's mail, where at least I could actually see the bottom of the last box. And danged if you didn't play it again. And I still haven't got done with December mail. And people are wondering, and I'm getting some angry letters. And my gosh almighty, we had to rent an outhouse because our little bathroom in this trailer is packed with mail. Both back seats are packed with mail. I pick up mail every day. Sir, I started that because I wanted to make this postmaster, get off his duff and do something. And, oh boy, it worked. But talk about white man's revenge. It sure backfired on me.
Well, you're saying, in other words, that 1 million people wrote to you.
Not 1 million, no, but
I
I have shaved my finger, the thing 6 times now.
Well, so do you want more mail, or do you...
No.
No, you
gosh
don't.
Heavens, no. I got a website, and I'm getting it on the website now, and I'm trying to answer the mail on the website.
I see.
It's not letting me get to the mail there, and I've got prisoners, the Hyokas that are not Indians, that are looking for help, and I put them all aside so whenever I get a break, I can write one letter, hit my little button on this God-given computer, and
Answer.
send them all of them one time.
So then do you want email?
I don't want that either, but I do have a website, and what I want, sir, is I want my life back.
You want your life back?
Yeah, gee, I was an obscure nobody, and now I'm an unobscure nobody, so, well, gee.
Well,
But, a world of change here, and everybody thinks I'm making money hand over fist. Holy mackerel.
well, I don't know how you're making money.
Well, I started putting these lessons out on the website that people can buy it. I have written over 700 replies on how to levitate by hand.
Yeah, I know
By
a lot
the way,
of...
out of all of those, over 700, I counted them. I do have 2 people doing it.
You have 2 people...
Yes, but that's about average.
Who
You're
after,
only going to get
who-
about...
Wait a minute. After your instructions, Red Elk,
Yes,
2
sir.
people that are successfully levitating
yes,
off the
mother
ground.
and her young daughter. The daughter's real good at it. She'll get up and tell her mom, I'm going to go fly now, and take off. Levitate, lift.
Oh,
And
I'm with
the
you.
mother, she's scaring everybody. I think she belongs to these line dancers, hillbilly dancing things, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, they click, 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 jump, click, 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 jump.
Yes.
Well, she goes so high, it scares the hell out of everybody. But, yeah.
Okay,
And
so-
she wrote me, she's worried. What are we going to do about this thing? I said, well, that's why we don't do it in public, you idiot.
Then let me understand. Then you're selling
Yeah.
on your website
Yeah,
lessons.
and I got Indians ticked off giving sacred knowledge and making money, and watch out for this guy, he's a con. And
Just because you're teaching people to levitate.
well, to them, you know, this is sacred stuff that I'm teaching. It's sacred.
So
means
they,
secret.
as far as they're concerned, you should not be charging people.
That's right.
I
That's
see.
right.
Well, and you
And
know,
yet it's okay that
Person's
that
gotta
the
live.
medicine man gets paid when they come to him.
yeah.
And
That's a
well,
good
I've
point.
got thousands coming to me, and they can't afford to come here, and they want to learn. I have never seen. I didn't know there were so many people that wanted to grow spiritually. And I'm only one man. I've asked for help from the medicine people, and you know, shoot, no, they're going to let their ego control them. They're going to let the ways, if the world goes on as probable,
So then you
they're
don't.
going to let the ways die out, and our survivors, you'll be lucky if they do survive, just because of their stupid ego.
So you probably don't want to give out your address so they can actually come visit you in
Oh, hey,
person.
they are. No, my address is. Shoot, I don't care.
No, don't give it out. Don't give it out.
No, except for God's sakes, that you ought to see my website. You ought to see the guests say, ooh.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, but-
Okay, anything else you want to get out before phone calls?
Yes, sir. Inserts, I'll finish that. You can change them to love. And when these lizards dial in on you, they think they're sucking in a good drink, and it's like bile. And it just, oh, gosh, I got them
Oh,
ticked
no.
off at me. And if anybody wants to, you know, many have asked me to come and teach, but these are all across the United States, many in each state, and I can't afford to get back to them and say, well, you get a hold of so-and-so, they want it too. I don't have their permission. But if people would like to set up chat clubs, get a gathering together where I can afford to drive there. I'm not going to fly there. I got stuff in my medicine bag. Nobody gets in my medicine bag, damn it.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not going to let any of those airplane people get in it.
Well, that's right. That you would have to let them inspect your bag, wouldn't you?
They ain't about to. I'm not going to go, so that means I drive.
What do you think they would do if they inspected your bag, Red Elk?
It doesn't matter, sir.
I'm just curious.
Just the fact that they would get in there and touch it is against all to me. You know,
okay.
that is sacrilege.
Okay. All right. A lot of people.
Okay.
Now, listen. A lot of people want to talk to you.
Okay, real quick.
All right. You ready?
No.
No.
Chat clubs, if anybody. And please think of this. All people, start envisioning what you want the seventh generation ahead to be like. Envision it. Look what the good you want your seventh grandchildren's to be. Envision it now and work towards that goal. Now let's go.
Most people can't even envision where their own child's life is going, Red Elk, much less 7 generations away. First time caller line, you're on the air with Red Elk. Hello.
Aloha, Art.
Aloha.
And the same to you, Red Elk. I'm Kathleen from Kona. A little aside, I did get a reply from your December show, and thank you very much.
Oh, there you go, Red Elk. See, there's somebody you communicated with.
Oh, believe me, I communicated with a lot.
You did.
Okay.
Now, here was my question, though, Red Elk. I have a friend, and most recently, she, in passing comment, told me about the lizard person that she had begun seeing, and that this lizard person was in the back of her car, but has become more prominent and, as she said, a part of her family. Now, I didn't know what to make of it, so I made nothing of it to her. But if there is an upside or a downside, and if there's anything that I can advise her, how would I go about that?
First off, she has a lizard showing up like that, my sister, because she has these danged inserts in her. Now she has welcomed the dang thing.
Implants, in other words.
Yeah. She has welcomed this dang thing. She has put herself in extreme danger, and anybody that is involved with her will be very much in danger in time. They're making themselves known more and more. They want full control of everyone on our surface. Make no doubt about that.
Were these implants, when you say she welcomed them, I mean, were they something that were put there without her knowledge?
As a child. And probably, you ask her about missing time. Many times. The majority of these people, I would say 100%, that have missing time have these implants. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr. Bell.
Is there anything I can do as her friend?
Yes.
What?
What I told you.
To pray.
Pray is, honey, prayer works.
All right, let's try this. Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead and give that a shot. In the meantime, Red Elk, I'll bet you know Pamela Stonebrook, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Never heard of her.
You never heard of her?
No, sir.
Okay, Pamela Stonebrook is somebody I initially interviewed some years ago, Red Elk.
The one with the painted hair?
Yes, Red Elk, the one with the painted hair,
okay.
who's having an ongoing physical, sexual relationship with a lizard.
Mm-hmm. And enjoying it, every minute of it.
So she claims, yes. Uh-huh.
I tell you, these things, they're horny. They're horny.
Yeah, well, that's what she said.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, it is. But with what you just said about the lizard people, it doesn't sound like, she's hooking up with the right kind of lizard.
There is no right kind.
Well, there you go. So you would say that she is doing a very, very dangerous thing.
Yes, she sure is courting fire. And I'm not talking hail on her head. And she is, geez. But then again, she's partly controlled. I'll bet you on it, Mr. Bell.
Implants?
I can look at a person and see the inserts and point and touch it and say, have you been hurting here? And, well, gee, yeah, for many years. It's a danged insert in implants.
Implants, yes.
All right. I see these things in people's bodies.
I understand. Wildcard line, you're on the air with Red Elk.
Yeah, I've got two questions I'd like to ask. About 3 years ago, I had a dream where the world was, it wasn't so much engulfed as just a wall of flame went around the planet, and the only people that survived were the ones that were in touch with the so-called animal side of them. Would there be anything to that dream, or was it
it would be so true, sir. It's the next time around, my friend, which is very shortly, this world will come close to being destroyed, mostly by fire. And consider when the Earth flips, all the electrical wiring that's cracking around live, starting fires, people with candles falling, starting fires. We got a mess ahead of us. And only those who are spiritually in tune with the Creator and all things, including nature, these are the ones that can make it. I'm not going to say they will. I say they can.
Oh,
and the military that are running down into the holes.
My other question, is it possible that someone would be like one of these half-breeds that you're talking about? Because I've always felt deep down that I was what the old Norse or the Vikings called the berserker, which means bear man in their language. And would they know it, or would it be possible that they'd be a half-breed without knowing it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Could you be a half-breed without being aware of it?
Yes, and being a half-breed and being aware of it and just being bewildered because this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Your answer is yes. It is quite possible.
Well, again, you realize that there are a percentage of people out there, Red Elk, and I can tell by looking at my computer screen, who understand what you're saying and do grasp what you're saying, believe me. And then there's another percentage that think you're crazy as a loon.
Well, sir, I say this. Believe not a word I say. Stick around. You'll find out. Or learn to check it. Okay. And then reject or accept. But don't believe anything I'm telling you. You make up your own mind. You're going to find out in the long run.
East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Red Elk. Hello.
Art?
Yes.
Red Elk?
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank you for sharing the Native American wisdom with us.
Well, I tell you, my brother, I thank you for that, but the American natives, the other half, I'm a breed, remember, the other half aren't happy with me at all.
Well, a lot of medicine people say the same things that you've been saying. But I want to ask you about the Hollow Earth.
Mm-hmm.
What about these these lizards? Some of the UFO researchers say that they're from other planets.
Yes, originally, and they still are. This is a colony.
How can they be stopped? A lot of people have children. They want a good future for the young generation.
Hear me.
How can
they be stopped?
Bad entities be stopped?
My friend, there is a way, and I'm a danger to them, and I'm in deep trouble, even Sharon. But in the long run, the Creator is going to let the spring on the mousetrap stop them. That's why we are here. We volunteer, even though we don't know it. We volunteer to be cheese, bait. And everything is going to know, once again, there is one Creator, and that Creator is love.
Okay.
But in the meantime, there are ways to cool their thing, but to cool their agenda and their full agenda. No, there's no way to stop that. Only the Creator will do that.
Let's say that you're having an individual encounter with one of these creatures.
Yeah.
What could you do?
Well, first off, sir, don't fear. That's why they're there, to make you fear. They get to suck that energy. It's steak on their sauce.
Yeah. All right, well, there you go, caller. He's basically saying the same thing he said about some of the shadow people, you'll recall, that they
right on.
They take the energy, they take the fear, and they feed on it.
What about the Greys? Are they different?
The Greys, sir, in the first place, these little ones that everybody's seeing, those are what is it when you make something out of another human being? Clones. And they're grown plants. They are not humans. They have no soul. They are literally made by the last of the true Greys, which look like them, are taller, lankier, much skinnier, bigger head.
And they have no soul. These are created beings, created by...
They're thinking plant beings, just as most of their crafts are made out of plants and can expand or extract. Come in little at 16 feet, go out big at 200, 250 feet, full of our ores.
How do we waken the news media and the respectable people about what's going on?
Oh, I don't think you're going to do that. They're no more ready to accept a lot of what you've heard tonight than the man in the moon.
80% aren't ready to accept what I'm saying. They're listening.
I'd say that would be even a conservative figure, 80%. Believe me, a lot of people are not going to be willing to buy into this, but I know that a lot of others are. And personally, I'm not sure exactly what to believe myself. I'm really not. We'll be right back. Once again, into the night with Red Elk. So, Red Elk, in terms of communication with you, what you would really like is for people to go to your website, right?
Well, yes, and if they're going to write a note, keep it very short. If they're going to ask a question, please, I'm a one-finger typer. I'm really cramped in this trailer, and I'm left-handed, and I have to keep my hand to the side because there's no room to move. I've got stuff I'm sitting on about a little 2.5-foot area that's uncluttered, and my type, the type things there. But for those who are interested, I'm assuming you're going to ask me what it is.
Well, I assume that your email is probably on your website, right?
Oh, yes.
But go ahead and give it.
All right, my website is, the HTTP
Right.
thing, and then it's all small, all together, www.redelk, again, all small together, www.redelk.org.
That's really easy. That's REDELK.org,
Yes,
redelk.org.
but people make a mistake and type in COM. For
I know. Well, everything's calm, so I'm glad you're an org.
Next time, if there ever is, sir, at your command, if there is a next time, I would like to literally take about 10 minutes, and people come on board with pen and pencil, or pencil and paper, and I will tell how to practice on-demand mental telepathy. We will break AT&T, and our government will not be able to trace masses of people's thoughts, and they won't be listening in. They just can't do it. They haven't got the manpower. And it's a matter of practice.
All right.
I would love to give that to the people.
All right. Let's plan that for next time. Now,
Yes.
with reference to levitation, that is a particular interest of mine, Red Elk. You say you've taught a mother and daughter to levitate, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. What do you think the chance is that this mother and or daughter would be willing to talk to me?
Well, I could ask them.
Would you please?
The chance, sir, is totally up to them.
Would you please?
I would do so.
Okay, ask them. You know how to get in contact with me.
I'm not sure. I wrote your phone number down, and hey, this trailer eats things, man. I don't know where it's at. We're going to talk after. I'm going to give you that method, so your back's going to be good, bro.
Okay. All right. Here we go again. First time caller line. You're on the air with Red Elk. Hello.
Hi, Art. Love you and love your show.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to talk to Red Elk. Anybody who believes in the creator of love is just cool with me. I was very much in agreement with Mr. Elk's message that we are presently in a very negative reality. I mean, we can figure this out just looking around us. And that this can be transformed into positive reality of peace and love through prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Art, you had a lot of guests on that have talked about parallel universes.
Oh, yes.
And, if you hook into that idea, then you can understand that maybe, possibly, we can go in and out of the different realities. And I do believe that one way is through prayer. I know, Art, that you're really reluctant, and that you've done some of these mass prayer things where you've had some really weird experiences. Excuse me. And
I'm not sure I'd call them mass prayer. I would call them mass concentrations.
Okay.
But there was certainly prayer involved by many.
Well, a lot of people do refer to prayers. It's basically when you're putting your attention on something, and most people, when you're doing prayers, you're asking for something.
No question.
However, what you have to be careful, you're right when you said, you have to be careful what you ask for. You might just well get it.
Yes.
But that's where you can always add the little addendum and say, in God's will, if this is God's will, because even Jesus Christ, when he was, told he was to die on the cross for our sins, said, if this is your will, take this cup from me. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, I will do your will. So we can always ask for a prayer, but we can always certainly respect and be humble enough to understand that it's always going to be God's will.
Yes,
but I think he does, a lot of this reality is created by us. And you have talked about that too, Art, how, even Sean David Morton was talking to how our perceptions of reality come to be. And a lot of that's karma of a country, karma of thought, karma of peoples in the past.
That we make it all happen.
Yeah, and so, when you were even talking, Art, and saying things like, I can't picture this, so much of it is imagining. You have to imagine what's wonderful and what's good and what you understand to be good. And I'm not talking about just on a personal, selfish level, although it really ultimately is personal and selfish, because I think ultimately we in our hearts and in our souls, we all want peace, we all want love, we all want those good things. It's just when the politics and the individual greed gets in the way that it becomes distorted.
That's right.
So I don't know if Mr. L could talk about if he has anything like a kind of a group prayer meeting. I don't know if he does anything on the internet or.
Honey, boy, would I love to see it, but there is a problem. When people have group unity, let's not call it prayer, group unity, where two or more gathered together, you know what they mean, in heart. If it's done on a regular basis, it becomes rote and therefore useless. It should be done, and it needs to be done. We need to close these ozone holes, and it can be done by mind caring about our environment, about our very lives. And many works can be done. It's more than just envisioning Mr. Limbaugh getting better in his hearing, and what a miracle that was. And or Mr. Bell with his back, things like that. It's we can do far greater. We can help heal our own planet, and we, my sister, can also change our greatest probable, even though it doesn't look like it's possible. Look at what one man did for the whole planet.
Oh, yes.
And, gee whiz.
It always starts with one soul, doesn't it? There could be great power. It always starts with one person.
Yes, and it needs total love, commitment, a great desire, a humbleness of heart, and a great want, a hunger. Those people that have that and can unite can do miracles beyond miracles, because that's the way the Creator has made us and wants us to be. For Mr. Bell and your information, I would like to talk about a very sacred thing, probably one of the greatest secrets that medicine people know. The fact is, we are a dream, the Creator's dream. We live because He does not sleep. Now, everybody knows, or most know, about lucid dreaming, where you're being chased by something, but you're in a half-sleep state, and you can turn around and say, why are you chasing me? And then find out what it's all about. What you don't know is that we are living a lucid dream, not just dreaming occasionally at night. This whole thing is a dream.
Row, row, row your boat.
That's like that's kind of like The Matrix, the movie, The Matrix.
Yeah, I hear about that movie, and someday I'll rent that thing.
You probably should rent it and watch it. It's that concept.
Well, sir, we can work the dream. That's where we, in medicine, men and women, good and bad, sorcery or not, we work the dream. We can make things happen because we can work the dream. We know this life that you call reality is lucid dream.
Okay. Wildcard line, you're on the air with Red Elk. Good morning.
Yeah, thank you, Art, for taking my call.
Very welcome.
This is Levi. I'm on my way to Oklahoma City. Hello, Mr. Red Elk.
Hello, my friend.
I've come across a theory that I put together as I went down the highway, compiling a bunch of information that I've gathered up. One, that we're all made out of the same stuff that's in the table in front of you is the same stuff that's in you. And
yes,
when you get
it's called mind stuff, God's mind stuff, His dream.
When you get to the quantum physics level, the foam or the electron cloud around the nucleus, it's all made out of the same stuff. It all depends on how many electron stuff has going around it. And it dawned on me that what if it is made out of sound? God spoke the universe into existence.
That, boy, have you hit the nail on the head. There's no Big Bang. He was sitting up there twirling his thumbs, nothing going on. I don't know for how many ages. And the very existence of all creation is in the first verse of the first book of the of the Bible.
Yeah.
And he thought, and then he imagined, and then he created us from imagine into strong envisioning until he got it right. Instead of making the woman's boobs on the back, which would have made them fun to dance with, but not worth looking at, he put them on the front. He took his time. He got it right. And then he said, he audibly spoke, sir, there's no Big Bang. It is just vibration. And thought.
Mr. Red Elk, the other place I found that in the text was where, I don't know, Jesus and the disciples going off to this town. They said, make these people be quiet lest we get thrown in jail or get in trouble.
Yeah, and the rock should shout.
And he said, if I'd make these people be quiet, Father would make these stones rejoice. Well, that suggests that there's sound on the inside of those stones.
And intelligence.
Yeah, and intelligence. And you were speaking about, y'all were talking about talking to rocks earlier. And having the rocks talk back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of us talk to, whenever like Art was mad at his car, or half of the communication, you talk to something, but the other half is listening to what it has to say. Now,
Lord, can I inject here? Sir,
Yes, sir.
When your wife and you head off for the trip, she thinks, oh my gosh, did I leave food for the dog? Did I water the plants? And, well, let's go back, and you run back, and lo and behold, the dog's got no food.
Yep.
The plants need watering, and they say, thank God, I remembered that. No, sir. They were called by the plants and by the dog saying, you've forgotten us.
Right. There was something the last caller touched on in imagination, and you touched on it earlier in the conversation. And the imagination is there's a very powerful law tucked away in, it's right at the Tower of Babel over there. God said, now nothing that they have imagined will be restrained from them. And
It says, ye are as little g, gods. We cannot be God, but we can be godly. We cannot be Satan, but we can be satanic. We cannot be Christ, but we can be Christ-like. And if you had the faith of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain.
Yeah.
We in medicine do this. We have learned to work the dream.
I would really like to learn from you. I want to look around on the website when I get time to find out how to get in touch.
Hey, I'm raising all kinds of. I'm getting as controversial as Mr. Bell.
Yeah, this man is really something, isn't he, caller?
Yeah, he is really good. There's a lot of truth in what he has to say.
I appreciate your call, sir. Thank you.
Very careful, friend.
Take care. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Red Elk. Hello.
Marcus from Kansas City.
Yes, sir.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be on tonight. The more I listen to you, I have to thank you, sir, Mr. Elk, for speaking the word to us tonight, and I love you for that, the scriptures. And I'd like to ask you a question concerning the Christ, the Lord. I've chosen not to use the name Jesus because I've done some research, and it just seems like to me it's wrong. It really wasn't his earthly name. And I wonder if you, and I've noticed you haven't used that name either. I was wondering.
Sir, it doesn't matter. Jesus,
doesn't matter.
Jesus, the Christ, whatever you want to call him. That man was the walking example of what love can do.
Well, who can argue with that?
Call him love.
As a Christian. And I think that's pretty awesome, and you're an exciting man. And also, I'd like to touch on, I see in the world today how things seem to be backwards. They call good evil and evil good.
Oh, yeah.
And the anxiety for me is very high. And you seem to have much more peace than I do, that's for sure. Can you give me any
hint how to get there?
Yeah,
Sir,
a little hints or some help information for me, please.
See nothing as accidents. There are no accidents. It's all planned. See nothing as bad. Even your baby getting raped and ripped, and that's bad. But in the long run, it brings people. It gets rid of the chaff in the wheat, and it brings some of that real weak wheat up standing tall. In the long run, there's a reason for everything.
Yep, that's a very hard concept for a lot of people to understand.
And it would be for me too, but I live by it. I've learned by it.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, my friend.
Right, take care. Yes, I believe every word you're saying. I believe that you absolutely believe every word you're saying, and I think a lot of what you're saying has an absolute ring of truth to those who have stuck around and listened. It's really interesting. West of the Rockies, not a lot of time. You're on the air with Red Elk. Hello.
Yeah, I'm Walter Walter from Mount Rainier.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to say the mirror. I'd like to ask him about the mirror. I've been using it for about 10 years, and I can prove the existence of God with it, real short and sweet.
With a mirror?
Yeah, I was studying guitar in the mirror about 10 years ago, and I was looking off to the side of the mirror as I was doing it, and I started seeing really weird evil type things coming in.
Well, I'll tell you, we're headed for one whale of a show on this subject.
But anyway,
the ribbon does twist and turn, creating rips and thinness in the valves that are really all around us.
But I asked God to come in, the Spirit of God to come in, because I couldn't get rid of the evil looking things in the mirror, and everything changed. And believe me, Art, you've been wondering about the mirror.
Yes.
If you sit there and look off to the side and say, Satan, come in, you're not. It'll shock you. It'll scare you almost to death. And you won't know how to get rid of it other than by saying, okay, Spirit of God, come in. And that's when everything changes. And it'll teach you. I mean, you don't even have to do anything. You can meditate there and feel safe, and you'll start learning things that you've never ever learned before. Now,
I hear you.
And I've been seeing spaceships from it. I've been learning stuff from God. And one thing about I wanted to say that I've been learning from God was you have the thing on about Fatima on there, the secrets.
Third
well,
secret
this isn't about the secrets. This is about the solar event. And God is very disturbed that the sun bounced up and down. It's on film. It's on motion picture film.
Sir, I'm woefully short on time here.
Yeah, we got only about half a minute.
You want to email me, and I will proceed to follow up on it. There are solar events going on right now. We have this big full halo ejection. It's actually hitting Earth right now. And we've got a gigantic solar storm going on. Auroras may be seen. Red Elk, boy, what a pleasure to have you on the air again. You're a strange sort, Red Elk, but, there's
stick around and I will give you that thing.
Indeed. I just wanted to tell you, you're strange, but you're absolutely intriguing. I mean, there's something about you. So I'm certain we will have you on again. In the meantime, I'm going to put you on hold and talk to you after the show, okay?
Yes. Love to all and all love, please.
Good night, Red Elk.
Good night, my brother.